Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing? Gamez here with Alway Metal Forge, Blacksmiths Church Community Gathering. Hey, Mr. Donut in first, sitting there in the bleachers. Henry St. Forge, how you doing? Black Collar Ironworks, what's up? Keith Whatever, Shamrock Forge, Sister Donut, Shane Lalonde, Mountain Critters, Drayson, how you doing? Daniel, John Coffey, what's up? Speargrass, Neil, how you guys doing? So, as promised yesterday, I do have a special guest today. Morning, Mark. Yeah, I have a special guest today. You guys, his work has been featured pretty prominently through the blacksmith community. He doesn't do videos. Sorry, I'm watching the screen. You guys can't see. And these guys are great. It's the Robinetts. I have the Robinetts on with me today, and he wants to, spark off a shop tour, because he wants to see you guys' shops during this community gathering format that we've been doing, and yeah. So he figures, well, if everybody's afraid to do it, somebody who's never been on screen, he'll do it to show how, easy it can be done. Hey, Boar. Hey, Augie. So, without further ado, I've also switched around some of my backgrounding to make the Skype interview screen look a little easier. Let me transition now. So here is Mr. Robinett. Say hi, Mr. Robinett.
Hey, how y'all doing?
How you doing, Robert? I see you got headphones. That means you can hear me a little bit better now.
Yeah, Tina, she done something. I'm not sure what she done.
Oh, that's awesome. You guys know him in the chat as Tina Robinett because his wife is the mastermind behind the technology in the house. Hey, Wiley. All right, everybody's saying, hey, Mr. Robinett. Good morning, Robert.
How y'all doing?
They're all excited, man. But yeah, Daniel Crawford says hi. Morning, Anson. But, like I was telling them, me and you were talking yesterday about, why you wanted to do this today. And that was
right,
because you really like seeing other people's shops and their home setups and such. And, hey, Christopher. And, well, who better to get the ball rolling than the person who wants to see it the most,
Right. Yeah, that's what I was telling you. I had a friend of mine run for a local office here, and I told him all I do is complain about things. So maybe, and I was proud of him for running. So maybe I can do the same thing one time.
Yeah. Be the spark that ignites the fires underneath my viewers' butts.
Yeah, I like to see other people's shops or setups and get some ideas from them.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, you've been doing this for well over 25 years now, you said? Or was that just...
Yeah, I started in about 1990, 89, 90.
Yeah, so, in addition to learning, some of the other people, from some of the other people, I'm sure you have a lot that you can teach, the community.
Well, we try.
Mr. Robinett actually sent me the book, Practical Blacksmith. I've got it on my shelf over there, and I've been flipping through it anytime I'm sitting in my hammock, chilling. I pull it out and I, flip through it and, read a couple chapters. It is a collection of letters and, articles and such collected over the decades, centuries, right? And put into a volume to help blacksmiths. And Mr. Robinett signed it, wrote a note in it, and sent it to me for me to learn from. and when I'm done with it, I can send it on to another smith to do the same, and so on and so forth. Pass it on around. So these are the kinds of things that Robert does for the community. He is there to further the blacksmithing experience.
Well, when I first started doing it, that was the only book available. So you had to go to the library to check it out or find a used copy of it.
Right.
But there was no other. That was it. So I kind of like it. It's a hard read, but they didn't write it very well for simple folk. But it's got a lot of good information in it.
Right. Uh, Howdy, Troy. How you doing? They're saying, well, they're still saying hi to you. Anson, side note, I know a couple people are swinging by on their way back from the meeting. You're welcome to swing by after the meeting. Speargrass says, that's not a book, it's a tome. I take it he knows what what you're talking about. Let me pull the phone out of my ear and go grab the book real quick. I'll show you guys. Oh, man. I think it's on my other shelf. Yeah, I moved my room around, and it's on another shelf that I can't get to right now. I can see it, I just can't climb over everything and get to it. Sorry. Yeah, the book is about this thick, and it's about, a good 2-3 inches thick. It's awesome. Let's see. So, I know that I am as organized as you are, Donut. I know that you wanted to show us your shop setup.
Okay.
If you'd like to, I'll try and read any questions that they have that people may have for you. Mr. Robinett right
How do
now
I?
can't read the chat because he's using the phone that he would normally read the chat with.
Okay.
So
Okay. You can you see what's going on?
Let me pull this up to full screen for them. All right. So this is Mr. Robinett's shop tour.
Well, here's my forge.
I love that thing.
It's designed out of the one in that book. It's not my design. It was, someone 100, 150 years ago come up with this concept, but it's hard to get it all in one shot.
Right. That's a beautiful.
But it's kind of a workstation more than just a forge. So it's got a coal tank and a water tank built in it.
Uh-huh.
And then the tong racks. Everything's right there at your fingertips.
Wow.
So, and then I've got my gas forge mounted on it on a swing arm, so I can just pull it in position or shove it out of the way.
Yeah, I
so
like
that way
idea.
you're still right there where it needs to be instead of across the room or whatever.
Yeah, I like that.
And then I got a little tool bench over here with miscellaneous tools and just, I don't know, it tends to collect junk more than anything, but
right.
And I got a hydraulic press I built. The power unit's broke on it right now. I'm not a big fan of presses, but they have their place occasionally. But it's my own design. It's similar to the one shoe wrap in Russia uses.
Right.
But I built it smaller, and I'm not sure why I did that. That was my fault. But it's a 30-ton. hydraulic cylinder, but it's not big enough.
They never
You
are.
need about a 50-ton or something like that. So the next one will be better. There's always a next one.
Adam from
But
Speargrass has a question for you that I think he asks everybody. He says,
lay it on.
Mr. Robinett, when are you coming to Australia? Haha.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Yeah.
I I've never been out of the country, so
Yeah.
but that would be a neat place to go.
Me neither. Yeah. Sprinkled Donut says, that looks familiar.
Yeah, he's had his hand at all this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, here's my power hammer. It's a 50-pound Moloch.
Yeah.
Sorry about the shaky.
Hey, don't worry about it.
But it's got a factory motor on it, so it was built at the factory with this. This is just a 2-horse motor. It's like 800 RPM, and so it runs how the guys that wanted it, how they wanted, the speed that it was supposed to run at, and it's a little scary. It runs a little faster than a lot of them that I see. That's been re-geared off a line shaft, but I'm used to it.
Right.
It's a 3-phase motor, so I have a phase converter here.
There you go.
Rotary converter, and she's pretty handy. I like it. It's not big enough, so my next one will be a 120-pound Hanyang. So it's coming soon.
Yeah. People are loving. They're still talking about the swing arm for the gas forge.
Yeah.
Tech Ron Maddox says hi. Hey Tech, and great idea having the gas forge on a swing.
Yeah, and it's just built out of square rectangle tubing, and I'll try not to walk too fast and make folks dizzy.
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Here's the bushings that the rectangle tubing's welded to, and that way it takes all the slop out of it.
Nice.
To where, and this will be cut off. Okay, of course, just old stud bolt. But that way, it's nice and tight, and it's not flipping and flopping all the time. And so I cast that brass myself in the forge.
Yeah.
They're just old propane tank valves. Melt them down and repurpose them.
I'm definitely gonna have to try and get that attachment when I get my forge.
Oh yeah, we'll look at that in just a second.
Yeah.
And so here's the treadle hammer.
Yeah.
It's a Clay Spencer first gen design.
Hey, Mike.
And I've heavily modified it.
Yeah.
To suit my needs off of the original plans.
Yeah.
But the head is 110 pounds. And so, and then
this is the one that you've been talking to me, trying to get me to build left and right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we go 1 inch here, and then we open up to 2 inch.
Oh wow, that's very.
And then you'll see later, all my tools interchange with each other. The press tools interchange, and so everything's standardized. You just have one set.
Wow.
And I cut a big notch in it so I can push a drift through that if that's what I want to do.
That's a good idea.
But I couldn't do without it. Once you learn how to use them, they're pretty valuable. If I was going to build one, I would go the second gen, the like John Switzer uses.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah.
But this hadn't come. The second gen was not in Clay Spencer's mind when this was built yet. So
sure.
But this was built in about 94, maybe 93, 94. So when they built, now I put the tool tray on it, and because I don't know, you need places to stack junk, so just to put tools when you're there, and got old power hacksaw here. It's from the 40s, World War II. Was probably on a ship at one time.
Yeah, and
valuable tool. They're slower, but they make more accurate cuts than a bandsaw.
Sure.
So if you're not in a hurry, they're the way to go. Yeah. They're hard to find now. They're hard to find them that aren't worn out. They all got scrapped in the 80s when the bandsaws come out.
Eric, the 2-inch Hardy hole, I believe, is so that he can run a drift through it.
Yeah.
So it's not so much a hardy hole as a sort of bolster,
Right.
a drift hole.
And see here's another 2-inch hole. So this is what I use as a striking anvil,
Yeah.
and it interchanges, so I can make it smaller or bigger, and yeah, everything, even the press has a 2-inch hole in it,
Yeah. That's a
and
brilliant idea.
an adapter plate. So everything, you got to quit having oddball tools, and here's my anvil. It's a 240-pound Trenton, and it's not a beauty queen by
Looks
no means, but
Don't tell
it
Carrie, but
gets the
it looked a
job
heck
done.
of a lot better than my anvil.
Yeah, I keep a shiny face on it. It's most difficult. The that and my table saw is the only two things that aren't a pile of rust along the Gulf Coast here. But I got the design of the striking anvil from John Switzer,
Yeah.
and his is wooden, not all steel. But I just made mine all steel. But I really like it, and it's bolted down, and it's never been in my way so far. It just kind of tucked away there real nice, and makes a good shelf to put things on too while you're working.
Rob Huff says, "Is this where we see Mr. Robinett builds my new coal forge? LOL." And Drayson says, "At Robert, how much are the tickets to visit your Blacksmiths amusement park?"
Uh, yeah, I just come on. Heck, that's easy.
Yeah.
Here's my vise. I bought it when I was a kid. It weighs about 300 pounds. I don't care for leg vices much. They don't hold nothing. But this is smooth jawed, and whatever you put in it, it's there.
Right.
So it's kind of an adjustable anvil is really what it is. You can beat and bang on it.
Well, you get
So
the older ones that are a bit more sturdy than the cast newer ones.
right.
The only thing I don't like about engineers' vices is how slow the jaw moves.
Well,
Unless you put an Acme
this
screw
one
in it.
moves pretty fast. So it's
Well, yeah, there you go. I take it that's
yeah.
got an Acme screw in it as opposed to the
Oh yeah.
engineer's screw.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an old Yost. It come out of the railroad. I've never seen another one like it. I've seen smaller ones, but none of them this big.
Yeah.
And then I keep all my tools in the cabinet underneath it.
There you go.
I built that cabinet, and
Yeah.
and then I got a fab table. It was really a blacksmithing table that I turned into a fab table, but it's a nice flat surface. It was an old vault door. My daddy was a bank and safe man,
Nice. That'd be a great
and
find.
so it weighs 3,000 pounds, just the top sitting there.
More nameless.
And but it's been surface ground flat. So if you want to straighten something when you put it on there, it's there.
Sure.
And I got a big old vise on the end down here. I never really use it.
But it's there if you need it.
It was given to me by a friend of mine's daddy, so I kind of like it. I fixed it up. It was rusted up, been laid outside for about 20 years, and
yeah, they're saying that's not a bad idea for a strong anvil. Talking about the table there, Eric. They're all just commenting. They're all in awe of your shop. Organized chaos like a blacksmith shop
right.
should be. Talk about how pretty
and
the anvil is.
I've got a bunch of clamps here, so everything's within arm's reach. And of course, a little iron rack. My big iron rack's outside. This is just ready use stuff. And I got a box here.
Rob's jealous of a 3-inch thick table.
Right. I got a box here I keep of standards. So it's just an old toolbox of known size material.
Yeah.
So when you go to size jaws, you're there, and you've got the exact size you want, and they don't get used for nothing else but just that. And I got my welding machine here. It's old. This one was made in 68, 70, something like that. I like these old machines.
Yeah.
The other one I had was made the year before I was born, but it went out on me a few years back. And I got an old drill press here, made in 1883. It still works. It's got auto feed.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe they could make something like that in the 1800s when the
Right.
history wants to tell us that they were riding horses and
right.
Scrounging for food and shooting each other, carrying 6-shooters all the time. And then here this is.
Mr. Coffee says,
So,
I use my power hacksaw all the time. And,
yeah.
And Randy said, I believe that's a 74 Lincoln. Hey, Michael Robertson.
Yeah, they started making these in the late 50s. Now, this is a circuit board model, not a rheostat model. So it's got more modern electronics in it. I've had the old rheostat model, but you can't find the foot pedals for them. So if you want to weld aluminum, you have to step up to the circuit board models, which they started in the early 60s. And they made these till 84 or 85, and then they quit making them. I've got another one that was made in, I think, 83. So, and then I got a tool rack here, or tool bench, just piled with tools, but I know where they're at when I want them.
Yeah. Oh, that's like most of my tool benches.
Yeah.
Just want to, people are saying, great shop, love the old stuff. And Eric, when he was mentioning the anvil idea, he was talking about the striking anvil.
Piece of your shop that I'm always here.
He says he hesitates to make some tools for fear of damaging his anvil, and that striking anvil is a good idea. I like it because it's low profile,
Yeah, it's just made out of mild steel. You could make it out of forklift tine. The weight, you need the weight.
Yeah.
So you need the mass. It weighs about 180 pounds, 200 pounds.
I definitely need something low profile like that I could set, like you have it under the horn, and then just twist my anvil out the way when I need to use it. Instead of I love my Uncle Buck's striking anvil. But my welding skills are subpar and were extremely subpar back when I made that. So it's got quite a bit of a wobble to it.
Right.
And something that's, straightforward up and down like that I can put some holes in and bolt to the concrete, would be low profile, extremely useful. I love that striking anvil.
Well, I watched you guys
Rob.
with the Alex Steele style striking anvils, and all they do is dance all over the floor.
Yeah.
Everybody's chasing them.
Yeah. Well.
And I didn't want to go that route. I watched John Switzer use his, and it's just there. So
yeah.
It's like my vise. It sets on a yard of concrete. It don't move.
And when I come and pick up my forge from you, I'm gonna have to see about getting some forklift tines so that I can make one of those.
I've got plenty of it here.
Adios,
all my stuff's bolted down solid. I don't like stuff that moves. It's like a vise. If you want a vise that can move, they make them. They're called vice grips. Portable vices. Other times they need to be stationary so you can get on them and do the work at hand.
Right.
So that's me. Everybody's different. So
yeah.
But
see, I would anchor. Rob Huff says those are that tools are meant to be anchored down. Brian Brazil hates that people don't anchor them. And the main reason why none of my stuff is really anchored down and secured on ground, I do have every ability, the technology, and the tools to drill holes in my concrete floor and put lead bolts or lead bolt sockets in and bolt everything down. However, the reason I haven't yet is because the way my shop is right now is not the way that a shop is going to be.
Right.
Like, especially once I get with you and get that forge.
Right.
Where it's going is nowhere near where my current forge
is.
Yeah. So.
No, I understand.
It's like my setup right now is highly temporary. When I'm with the power hammer, I designed it as heavy as it is. I designed it so that I can move it through some effort. But once I get the new forge in its position and through the roof, that power hammer is going to go next to that forge. So it's going
Right.
to travel about 30 foot, or well, 20 foot across the shop. And then I'll bolt it down and probably cut the concrete and pour a pad for it.
Right.
Why
Right.
do that for a temporary situation?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So everything in here is equal steps, and in that book
Yep.
that I give you, it talks about it. Half steps kill you.
Yeah.
So this layout is for me and me only, and that's the way every shop needs to be.
Yeah.
And everything just, you know, 2 steps here, 3 steps there, and that's, I don't know, it works for me. So everybody's different, but I'm not a fan of heating a piece of iron and then 10 steps across the shop to where you got to work it. You're losing heat at that point.
Eric brings up
But
something that you may be able to help him with. I have an idea too, but I'd like to hear what your thought is. Eric says, I've tried bolting things down, but the bolts just pull out of the dirt. He's got to figure something else. My thought,
he's in the
yeah, with a dirt floor. My thought would
okay.
be,
Then you dig a hole and you pour concrete.
well, there's
So
that, yeah.
this piece of concrete here is 3 feet deep. I think it's 2 or 3 yards, and everything sits on concrete here. The vise is on concrete. The forge, I dug holes, 1 foot square holes. It sits on concrete. And
my thought for a dirt floor, say somebody's got it in their backyard, and it's not like a fully set up shop, but a backyard situation. My thought for a semi-temporary bolt down would be to take, them dog chain, it's like a spiral that digs into the ground, and cut the top of that off and thread the end to make a bolt, and then roll it down into the ground, and then set whatever you're bolting down on top of it, and then throw some nuts on it. It may
right,
not be as sturdy as bolting it into concrete. However, it would be much better than not bolting it down at all.
right,
You know.
yeah. And sackcrete's cheap, so
Yeah.
I mean you can temporarily pour you a couple sacks of sackcrete, and then when you're done, just dig it back up and break it up.
That is a good point as well.
So,
yeah, I think it's like
but
over here by me, it's like $5 for a 50-pound bag of
yeah,
quickcrete.
yep. And so I've got a oil quench tub locked away under here.
Yeah.
It works out pretty
Man,
good. Just
swing arms. I love them swing arms.
And it's set up so if it catches on fire, you just bump it and it closes to put the fire out. And
have a good one, Sister Donut.
So and speaking of forges, let's go out here and look at these other ones.
I gotta say, I love modular design, and I love a design that allows you to like tuck things away, and like the swing arms and modular slides, all that stuff.
Right. Oh, here's these just sitting here waiting on their new owners.
Oh yeah, green and blue.
I don't know what the light's like,
green and blue.
They're just survived 2 hurricanes this year, so they're pretty tough.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Had a few branches piled up on them.
Yeah.
And but there they are.
That's awesome. I cannot wait. I'll give you guys one hint on who that blue one is for. Rob's like, that blue one will look good in my shop.
So yeah, they're just here waiting.
Nice. I do believe that I talked to Dave Custer about. That's what I want. The branches keep him from blowing away.
Yeah.
Randy said he made one of those for a friend of his. Nice. I believe I have the dimensions for the fire pot hole, and once I get a date on when I can arrange to come get that forge, or once those forges come up here, I spoke with Dave Custer, and he's gonna help me out with a fire pot blank kit.
Yeah.
Morning, Ethan.
Here's my iron rack, my real iron rack. It tends to collect some junk. We're also a fabrication shop here, so that's the bread and butter, how the shop survives and makes its money and fabrication work. So I keep pretty good stockpile iron.
Yeah.
And
I wish my pile was that big. My pile's all over the place. So
yeah,
I've got a few people in here that are from Texas, and you're in Texas, and
right.
just a side little joke note. Hey, Pupper Dog. I'd like to know, is it true that if you're standing anywhere in the state of Texas and you shout out, "Stars at night are big and bright," I hear that somebody will respond with the next line? Is that true?
I don't know about that. We're on the border with Louisiana, so you're more able to hear Cajun music here than you are the old country, the West Texas music. So yeah, we can be in Louisiana in I don't know, 15 minutes.
Right.
So yeah,
That's
it's
like me where I'm at. Like I'm North Carolina, but I'm a 16-mile drive from the Virginia border.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
So yeah, I've got some of the fabrication tools. I've got some bevel bands. I've got one bigger than this up in a different building. Wow. And track torches, the wall of shame on burn up power tools.
you keep them,
and
you never know when you use them again.
Well, I clear them out every now and then. So I go through little grinders quite a bit.
Could just be the brushes went bad.
Yeah, they do, but the armatures wear down, and you have to go in and regrind the Bakelite out of it. And I don't have time for that. I just toss them and grab a new one.
They're cheap enough.
So,
if you get cheap ones, it's like they're cheap. You can get.
Yeah, I don't buy cheap ones. No, they're not. None of them are cheap. They're all I use DeWalt grinders and Metabos, and
I use
no Harbor Freight stuff here.
Yeah, I use the Harbor Freight stuff because I can get, I have my Harbor Freight grinder, and if it runs for 2 years and then I got to spend $15 to run another one, works for me.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're not saving any money. If you buy a good one, they'll last a whole lot longer. And these are $100, and they'll outperform them 10-1. So, but I run 3 of them, 3 grinders, one with a hard disc, one with a Tiger disc, and one with a wire wheel, and then a Metabo.
Right.
And it keeps the wear down off of them, so you're only using 1/3 of a wear. And then you do better quality work because you don't have to change a wheel. You just grab it and go.
Yeah, people are getting on me and saying, it's like if you destroy half a dozen cheapo grinders in the time that it takes for a good grinder, to crap
right.
out, you're better off getting a good grinder. So yeah, I see that point. It's the boots theory.
Well, my daddy always taught me if you're going to do the work of a professional, you buy the tools of the professional.
Right.
So, that'll tell you right there, and it's true. It's true. But unfortunately, I go through, one a year. One of them a year usually goes, and then we just grab a new one. I've got some more in the box up there. I don't know if you can see them, but they're laying up there in the box.
I suppose one way you can go about it would be to have a really good one, and then a cheapie, in the wings, so that in the moment, if your good one goes out, you can grab the cheapie and use that while you instead of stopping and running to the store.
Sure. Oh no, yeah. You always have to have reserve stuff, and any small tools.
Buy once, cry once.
Keep 2 of them here, so there's always now. Of course, big tools you can't afford it, but the smaller ones, there's always a reserve waiting.
Oh yeah.
waiting to go.
I honestly can't wait till I get to that point where I can have reserves. Hey Roy, for those of you who are stopping in, because a lot of people have been popping in, we're trying a new format here, the Meet the Community Shop Tour edition. Today we have Robinett. I believe this is his first time being on YouTube, and he is showing us around his shop and discussing the tools that he uses. And,
I can't hear you.
you know, all that fun stuff. So,
kids can see him later.
kind
He
of a
might get in
simple
trouble.
catch up on that. That's what's going on.
He's not worried about it, he said.
So I can take you in here, and the other side, it's pretty messy. But I keep my belt grinder in here.
That blower.
I've got a pipe roller here. I take it outside to roll pipe, and
Right.
So I can roll up to inch and I have dies for 1.25 inches. And
Right.
here's my belt grinder. It's a Bader.
Right.
When I bought it, you only had a choice between a Bader, a square wheel, and a Burr King. And I liked the Bader the best. When I went to the knife school up in Arkansas, they used Baders, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
And it sits on an old sewing machine cabinet. They're cheap. You can buy them for pennies. Nobody sews anymore. In fact, there's still a sewing machine inside of it, but it makes a perfect height cabinet, or perfect height working height, and then you've got some drawers to put your attachments and all that.
You're making everybody drool with the toys. All the tools, I mean. Yeah.
So, and then I got a desk here. It's just pretty messy, but I've got a vise mounted on it, and there's where I do my knife work.
Right.
And the vise, it extends out. It's in some square tubing, so I can pull it out and push it back in and keep all my knife supplies in here.
Adam says, anyone else been counting the randomly placed hammers? Right?
I got hammers all over the place. This was my first ones I started playing with, and I didn't like them, but they make good little center punch hammers and stuff like that.
Bora has a question. He says, do you have any forged items to show off?
Well,
any work
yeah,
that you've got? They want to see.
I guess.
They love seeing stuff.
We're by the drawer of shame here, so.
The drawer of shame?
Yeah. Here's some knives. So this is 100 and I got it. This is 112 layers.
Yeah.
So and it's wrought iron fittings.
Nice.
On there, that's its natural color. And got another one here. I cast the brass on that. Nice. So and that's a I don't know, some kind of pattern. It's 135 layers. I like the coarser layer count on the knives. So
I do too. I like a mid to low layer, for when I do
right.
Damascus.
This one's a walnut handle and bird's eye Damascus. And all this Damascus is junk iron. So leaf spring, coil spring, wrought iron, whatever I have laying around the shop, it's. I like to see what I can make stick together, kind of like Tim at Big Dog.
Yeah.
It's more fun to, to take something and make something out of it. And there's just a few more in there, and but
Rob's trying to
some of these are my.
Rob's trying to claim the walnut handled knife.
A lot of these, like this one here, is a pattern knife. It's got a delamination in the blade that I didn't realize, and I was too deep in the blade to stop. But I have to keep a handle so I can remember how I do them and take measurements. And you can hold it in your hand and say, hey, it needs to be a 1/2 inch longer, 1/2 inch shorter.
Yeah.
So
really kind of test pieces.
No, I just keep a sample around to just to make sure that I can keep my head square what I'm trying to do. I don't make that many knives.
Yeah.
And when I do, then I want to be able to replicate what I like.
Yeah.
So, or change.
Yeah.
I have a baseline on a change, and so, but yeah, that's some knives and the hammers. We got a few of them laying around. We can look at them, I guess. And I got forged items all over the shop. I've got some barbecue tools I used to make. I don't make them anymore. They were taught to me by Clay Spencer. Here's a Little Willie. That's Little Willie number one right there.
Yeah,
it started as a joke with a friend of mine.
The artist blacksmith stuff, I think, is what people really like to see. You do some amazing work.
So here's some barbecue tools that I used to make. These are pretty rusted up, but they've got cowboy heads on them,
Right.
instead of the wizard heads that Clay taught me.
Right.
And but I kind of turned them into cowboy heads, and I've got the hammers. Played with hammers for about a year till I was trying to copy John Switzer's hammer that he uses, and so this is kind of my rendition of
the Hofi style.
And I like the swell of the peen in the face. So instead of his is flat, I've got one I did flat too. But anyhow, there's all different ways to make hammers. I had some serious failures and tried different styles before I figured out what I was looking for.
Welcome, Granddad. He says, "Wow, the voice of Mr. Robinett." Hello.
Here's one that's like John Switzer's. It's flat, and it's just the technique that they're using to shape it.
Right.
And then I made a conventional.
Yeah.
Just standard old hammer. And and I keep some reference hammerheads so I can size eyes with my drifts.
Sure.
And try to match some handle sizes. So if you have something and, you can try a handle and it's like, okay, it needs to be bigger or smaller, and then you can see how far you're pushing your drift through.
Yeah, I push my drift through just a smudge under what the handle of the handle eye is going to be, and then I trim the handle eye just that smudge so that it's still tight when I slam in.
Right. Yeah, I have trouble finding hammer handles around here, so I've got a deal. This is a 3-pound in the same series. I've got 4 of them.
Right.
In the same series, so I just made a whole set.
I do love the.
I'm about done. Me. Donut was here a month ago. We made him a 2-pounder, and it's just the standard.
Nice.
Standard deal. Now I like I was telling him, I clean out all the mill scale out of the eye when I'm done, because you can hear that crunching when you're pushing your drift in there, and and then if you handle it up and the mill scale starts coming loose, well, your handle's going to come loose. And to me, here's a rough forged one, hadn't been ground yet.
See, I take a round file and run it through the inside. Before I handle it. Then I figure anything that doesn't come out with that's probably never going to come out.
Yeah, I just hit them with a die grinder with a carbide burr, and just polish them out. That's all. Just getting the worst of it out, and then I epoxy my handles in. That way, any voids is filled up. Not trying to glue them in, just taking up spaces.
So I use I dip the ends of the handle eye. I dip them in boiled linseed oil before I slam them in.
Right. Well, you'll be surprised if you put them, with the epoxy, it lubricates it, and you think you're pushing them in pretty deep dry, and then when they're lubricated with the epoxy, they'll go on in another 1/8 of an inch or 3/16 of an inch.
Boris says, "Yay, uncharred hammer handles."
Yeah, I don't oil mine or nothing. I kind of like the roughness of them to get along the Gulf Coast here.
What I call the shop patina.
Yeah, we have pretty well 2 seasons, hot and very hot. So you sweat a lot, and oiled up handle, you're trying to squeeze it so hard to get a hold of it, and when they when you start sweating, they kind of rough themselves back up, and it gets a little better grip. So that's just me. They wear smooth after a while, and they end up looking like this old ball peen here. It looks like it's been oiled up, and it ain't never had the first bit of oil on it. So,
Yeah. See, I
but
personally, I do a light. I don't necessarily. I wouldn't call it charring, but I run a quick burn on my handles, more for the aesthetics than I do for
right,
the grip or anything. I've heard some people say that you get a better grip when you put a deep char on it and then sand it a bit and oil it, or when you do a deep char and
right,
then oil it, you get a good grip. I've read that in books too. Um, I personally believe it's really more a matter of preference, but you guys are right that an unfinished handle, like an uncharred, just raw wood handle, will get a nice, comfortable patina, you know, with the hand oils, the shop grime, and you don't need to burn or put a design or anything on the wood. And like I was saying during my show last night, when somebody orders a hammer from me, I give them the option. I tell them, it's like, 9 times out of 10 they say, "Oh, do whatever you think will look cool." But I give people the option. I don't say no. My hammer styles are my hammer style. No, so if you buy a hammer from somebody, you're buying pretty much the hammer head and the handle,
right,
because the handle
right.
ultimately is a consumable item.
Sure it is, and they have to be sanded to fit your hand
Exactly.
anyhow, and fit. This is my main hammer right here,
Yeah.
so I can't do any handwork anymore that much. Years ago the old 3 pound was my go-to, and that doesn't happen anymore. So,
All right, Randy. If I see him,
but
I'll let him know.
I do all my handles to where you're just about closed up. Your fingers touch your
That's
hand, and
about where I have mine.
the great big fat handles, that'll play with my crippled tendon in my arm, and yeah, I don't make it long. And
Bob's saying something. You can burnish the handles if you have tongs with rounded reins. Just grab the handle between the tong reins and squeeze and rub it. Huh. Interesting.
so I made this little rack for my anvil. It's got a little tool rack there
Nice.
with expanded metal, so you can get the mill scale out, and then a wire brush rack on the back
I
side.
definitely need to
I
do that.
never tied my anvil down till I started making hammers and started working off the horn a lot, getting the dish in here, and it was bouncing around a little. So it's been tied down now for about a year.
Right.
But other than that, you used to just set up there. If you use a big enough one, you don't really need to tie it down. It killed the ring in it, and I don't like that. I like the ring of it, but it's kind of dead sounding now. It's got a real pretty ring, and
Right.
but it don't anymore. So, and but other than that, that's kind of it, I guess. It's just a bunch of old wore out tools getting a second lease on life.
Right. And with what you've shown us, you have almost a lifetime's worth of collected tools and work pieces and whatnot. Okay,
Right.
Mr. Maker. Um, and as we were talking about yesterday, it's like you don't need to start with all this stuff. You
No.
acquire all this stuff.
Sure. Yeah. And when I started, the tongs were $5 a pair.
That is a good
They,
idea with the expanded metal.
it's just it was cheap. Nobody was doing it, and unfortunately, prices have run up on everything in the last few years. But everything was just all but scrap price, and nobody knew what it was for, and it was a good time to get in it, but I try to make all my own stuff now, like all these tongs. I've made all these.
They're all saying tong envy.
Well, you just Sundays is my tool making day. I kind of like to, when the weather's right in the winter, when it's cooler, I'll just set off and it's like, okay, I'm going to make a set. And but you can't get hung up on the fancy tools and the fancy equipment and say, well, I can't do quality work if I don't have all this stuff. That's not true. It's just about having fun.
Yeah, it's all about having fun. Sure, a freaking, big, awesome Saymac or Yang power hammer that, or a 100-ton press with, all the dies and everything. Sure, it can make things easier or quicker, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it without it.
No, you can do all of it without it. I did it for years till I blew my arm out. I was never going to own a power hammer until I blew my arm out. And then that was a game changer for me. And it's like, well, if I still want to do it, I've got to do it a different way.
Yeah.
And here's a little tool that doesn't get a fair shake. I'll show it to y'all.
I see speargrass.
It's a very handy tool, and they're real easy to make. It's just a furniture clamp, and you wedge it in, and then you got a quick adjustment hold down.
Yeah, it's similar to what I have.
I like them. Very, very handy. You cannot use Harbor Freight. These you have to go to a flea market and buy the old American-made ones. The Harbor Freight one won't make it 5 minutes, but if you find a good old one, they'll survive the use and abuse.
Okay.
And
I got a question and a couple comments. Speargrass Forge, Adam asks, Mr. Robinett, what are your daily use tools, just to show the newbies how little you actually need? And another question, approximately from Daniel Crawford, approximately how many square foot is under your roof at your shop?
Okay, my shop is 24 by 36, so we're standing in a 24-foot square area. Now this door here opens up, just like the front door. It's a sliding door, so this is 24 square foot, and I built it as a blacksmith shop, not a fab shop, and it's just for me. If two people are in here, it's too big. You're crowded.
Yeah,
somebody's in somebody else's way. My next one coming here soon will be a lot bigger,
right.
But it'll be quite a bit bigger. And then, of course, I got a 12-foot in the other side for the finishing. And but no matter how people get hung up on shops, I got to have the perfect shop, and then they have nothing. And my daddy always taught me, get something, just get something and get started, and worry about size and adding on later. And this whole building, there's 6 pieces of new lumber in the whole building. I tore down an old house and built this thing, and it's too small. They're all no matter how big you build them, they're too small.
Yeah.
So just get something, get going, and
even the backyard,
Yeah. I worked out of an old horse barn for a 2-stall horse shed for a while, and it was too small. But
and then
as far as the daily use, they're right here. It's the hammers and the anvil and the forge and just some basic tongs. I guess if I had to go with any tongs, I would go with these bow tongs here. You mainly are using square bar and round bar.
Bolt jaws are my favorite style of tong.
Yeah. And these pause tongs, they're the cat's meow.
I still haven't.
Thank John Switzer for introducing those. I made a set up to 1 inch. They're hard to make, but they are incredible.
I still haven't even tried pause tongs.
You'll throw rocks at the rest of them once you start using these.
Yeah.
And but yeah, just basic tools, some scrolling tongs for bending things around, and I'm not a fan of flat jaws.
Me neither. I gotta say,
I don't know what they do.
everybody recommends flat jaws as make flat jaws your first pair. The closest thing that I have to a regular use pair of flat jaws is my twisted tongs that I use for my hammers. Um,
Right.
it's literally just two pieces of flat bar riveted together, then twisted
Right.
with a good length at the end, and then kind of cleaned up reins, and I have them sized. It's like it's you know not super thick metal, and so I can take any size hammer stock, heat the ends of the tongs up, and then fit it to whatever size stock I want, large or small,
Right.
and
Right.
I can maneuver. I'm actually better with those tongs than I am with like the hammer eye tongs, like the Brian Brazil style hammer eye tongs. I've tried using those. I just
I've got a set. Here they are back here.
that's where I would keep mine.
You can see them. I don't like them. I hold my hammers with a pair of boat
That's
tongs.
pretty
You
much.
know, I call them bow tongs. I always thought they were called bow tongs.
Bow or
And
bolt, either or.
yeah, but that's what I prefer to hold them. I like to get a hold of the stuff. Of course, under the power hammer, I pull my pins out into the power hammer, and you're not gonna hold on to them with these hammer eye tongs.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get it. The only flat jaw I have is some old Farrier tongs that I've gathered up over the years.
They're more good for like a quick
They
grab
grip.
thing.
They grip.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
when you can't get a hold of it with nothing else, there they are.
just a quick grab thing.
Yeah.
And
this,
I will say
this pair,
I will say a caveat
is like
real quick, a caveat on the hammer eye tongs. Where I have found them useful is after you've punched the eye and you're doing kind of some cleanup on the thing. It really does grip in the eye really good. But as far as gripping them from the side of starting out with the stock, I understand the way that they're supposed to, the way that they work and the way they're used, but
they're using them with a striker, and they're perfect for that.
Yeah.
But I don't have a striker, so
fair point.
it's just me. So it's a different style. When you see Alex Steele or Brian Brazil using them, it's perfect. It works great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't when you're by yourself. Yeah, it doesn't. They don't work so well that way. And
Yeah.
but yeah, if I had any choice of beginning tongs, it would be a good set of bow tongs.
Yeah.
Or with square jaws, not the round jaws. I did not make these bow tongs. They were all junkers that I fixed up.
Yeah, I definitely need to increase my collection of bolt draw tongs.
I like buying old tongs, or people give them to me, and I'll take them apart and reshape them up and get them fixed up, make something, repurpose them.
Right.
And
wow.
Then you can make these simple tongs just out of spring steel. They're just crossover tongs, and they're very handy.
Yeah.
They're easy to make, and they hold.
Another good thing for grabbing random stuff.
Yeah, for small, it's just good for small work. You're not going to do big work with them.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
But
Rob says, I've never married my work with mine. How did you do that? Mard. Oh, he's responding to somebody. Mard. I said married. Rob, they're still discussing the chat. They're discussing the hammer eye tongs. When working solo with those, you kind of have to grip a little bit harder to keep it still when you're trying, one hand, than you would, a nice light grip to flip it around when you're working with a striker. I did notice that when working with hammer eye tongs, the amount that I had to squeeze in there didn't get so much of a marring as little tiny indents, and it's like if you're trying to be specific, it was kind of messing it up. So you're pretty much gripping it harder subconsciously when you're working solo, as I've noticed. Plus, I couldn't make them. I was having trouble getting them right, so the tongs that I use for making hammers, I lean towards those because that's what I'm comfortable with. I'm not
Right.
saying that they're better than the Brazil style hammer eye tongs, but for me, and this is a very important lesson for any new blacksmith. Hey John, how you doing? Is what is comfortable for you to use efficiently is safer than using something that is more uncomfortable yet possibly more traditional. You know, if you're uncomfortable using something, you won't be as efficient and you won't be as safe.
And it's not about the journey; it's about the destination.
Yeah. Well.
So
Yeah.
you can there's all kind of ways to get things done. It's just the end product. That's where you're wanting to get, and it's like the tongs. I've got a lot of crossover tongs, like these blade tongs.
Yeah.
They're crossover. There's nothing wrong with them. I can do the step down too. But these just work out better than their traditional step down tongs.
Yeah.
And and the crossovers actually sometimes are harder to make. To get that, I wish I could show a video. I showed Donut. There's a slick way to put that bend in them jaws, and everybody's fighting it.
I tell
If you make a bunch of pairs, you figure out an easy way to do it. And another thing I do is I wax my tongs when I'm done. I spend too much time making them to let them sit there and become a big ball of rust. So just candle wax, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
And when I'm done and they're still a little hot, I'll just throw a little wax. They still rust.
I will say, and kind of call this. We'll lead into the final thoughts and stuff for the show because it is 11.
Okay, yeah, I didn't pay attention.
Time flies when you're having fun. I do have people coming by later on, so I got to get out there and clean up the shop a bit. Otherwise, I'd go for an extra hour today. I'm having a blast, but one thing about what was I literally? Oh, you were mentioning you wish you could make some videos and stuff. I'll get with you at some point, and between me and Sprinkled Donut Forge, who is right there by you, or near you,
right?
Between the two of us, the two of our channels, we can help you, record some videos and then get you guys showed up on how to send, me the videos or get them over to James over at Sprinkled Donuts, and
right.
You can share some of your vast knowledge. I'd like to say, Tim just stopped in, Mr. Big Dog himself. Hey, Tim.
I don't know about the vast knowledge, but anyhow, I'll try. So,
but, just an option moving forward. Just an option moving forward. The community has been very. The screen's all messing up on me. It's back. The community sees some of the work that you send some of us, that you sent Bob, that you sent Tim, that you sent me, that you sent Mr. Davis, and just they love the work that you do, so it's like a lot of the stuff that you do, they would love to. Everybody always, what's his channel? What's his Etsy? What's his, where can I buy some of his stuff? Where can I see some of his work? And it's like, well, he doesn't. He is a part of the background support of the blacksmithing community. Between you and Tina, you guys are in most of the channels, most of the chats.
Yeah, we watch. So, I don't have no way to communicate, but I like to watch them.
Yeah. So
or replays. I watch everybody's replays of live stuff. I rarely get to watch it.
Yeah.
Live, but I always watch the replays.
So yeah, the way I figure it with, if you're interested in sharing in video format some of your, knowledge and such, get with me, get with Donut. Like we're both YouTubers and we're both, probably more than willing to, get you on film and some of your techniques and some of your knowledge out there to the world. Love you too, Tim. But yeah, with that, Robert, I'd like to say I hope you guys all enjoyed this style. I know I've gotten quite a decent response on this community aspect style, hosting somebody in the community to show their shop, to discuss the techniques, and to say hi and basically, introduce each other to the community, as a whole. I really hope to do more of this. I'd love to do that call-in show where the lines are just open. Anybody who wants to call in and say hi can call in and say hi and just talk blacksmithing. I hope to have, I spoke with Shamrock Forge this morning, and he said he was interested in doing it. Charming Hollow was interested in doing it. We had Clara Bison a couple weeks ago, and she would love to come back and do it again. But yeah, so Robert Robinett up here, he really, really wants to see, he loves watching, and he loves seeing other people's shop setups, no matter how big or small. His big thing is the home shop setup. And yeah, so anybody else who wants to be on the show to show off your shop, to discuss things. Hey, other guests. How you guys doing?
Yeah, it's a friend of mine. He stopped in, sharing the fun.
Yeah, so it's I really hope that I'm going to try and stick with it. Every single Sunday won't be with a special guest. However, I'd like that concept to really take off. So,
well, if I can do it, I guess anybody can do it. So everybody needs to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what your shop is. Be proud of it. The beauty of the challenges is no matter who's involved in it, everybody's putting their heart and soul into what they're doing, and you shouldn't be ashamed of what you got, because it's the shop is never ending. You're constantly rearranging, figuring out better ways, and adding equipment. So there's no need to be ashamed of what you got. Be proud of what you got.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And honestly, nothing better, if I may say, nothing better than a beginner showing off his or her shop and getting, hey, yeah, you're on the right track, or hey, try this.
Yeah.
We're a community. Yeah. We're a family. We're here to help each other.
Well, and somebody may see something in your shop and say, hey, why don't you make an adjustment or take this old tool and turn it into something else. And
exactly.
And you would never know that until somebody saw what you had. So there's no need to be ashamed of what you're doing, or it's all about having fun and keeping the old ways alive.
Yeah.
And
trying to adjust my it's about 85 degrees in here right now. There it goes. All right. So yeah, I'm all down for a monthly shop tour. Anybody who's interested in doing that, hit me up. If it gets popular enough, I can dedicate the second half of every Sunday to having guests on the show. If you just want to show up for 5 minutes and say hi, the lines would be open any Sunday. I really enjoy having guests, having the community join me in this endeavor. I'd like to say a $20 super chat in from Black Collar Ironworks. See you all later. I'll make a new layout. Take care and smash that like button. Yes, if you haven't, smoosh that like button, guys. Don't forget. I like the like button. You guys smoosh the like button. It feeds me. It's my breakfast. It's what I eat for breakfast. I eat likes for breakfast. So feed me likes. Hey Brett, how you doing? But anyway, guys, I am going to knock out if this, Robert, do you have any final words for the community as a whole?
No, just glad y'all have me. I didn't mean to bogart the whole time, so I didn't realize it was taking that long.
No, it's all good. Time flies when you're having fun, and this is fun, and I like let me know, you guys, what you think of the new format. In addition to the format, I actually, if I may talk technical for a second, I changed around the screen itself to have a different background that's a little bit easier to read. I've got several different backgrounds that I can swap around throughout. And you know, so I'm like fully set up for anybody who wants to be on the show. Keith from Triforge Creations says, "How can I buy one of those forges?"
If anybody's interested in building one, call me. I'll give you the measurements. They're nothing fancy. So, but yeah, no, it's no secret.
Yeah.
We'll help them get started any way they can.
Maybe if you were to email me or text me or have any sort of a plan or layout for it, that would make it easy. Maybe we could write something up and I can put a link to download something like that.
Right.
You know, down the line, no rush on it, but you know, just something
Right.
I know it's in the book, but something that somebody can get and help them out with.
Right.
But yeah, to answer the where can you buy one, he kind of already stated he doesn't do this for this is kind of his support of the blacksmith community. You really don't take orders for things like that, do you?
No, I really don't. I mean, I built several of them last year. That's when I built Ting Tings. I had to build 3 of them for people, and so I just went ahead and cut out another one. But I mean, you know, I can. That's what I do here. So, but they're not cheap. Materials. That's the problem right now. Is iron's so high that trying to get materials to keep stuff affordable.
Yeah.
But
and I will leave. This is one of those live streams that I will leave up permanently. I will not take this one down because there's a lot of good information and a lot of good stuff in this one. So this isn't usually I remove them after a week or two, but this one will stay up. So with that, thank you so much, Mr. Robinett, and thank you, Aimless, for the super poop. Let's everybody give Robert Robinett here a line of applause, you know. And, thank you very much to you and Tina. Thank you, big time Tina, for getting us set up. She was the brains behind getting.
She made it all happen. So
she made it all happen. So next time you see her in chat, be sure to thank her. And just gotta say, love this community. Love what you guys do. Love everything about it. I have such a blast every Saturday, every Sunday. You guys are all fantastic, and Robert, you are awesome. Even if you are just in the background, you are awesome.
Well, I'll try. I just have fun and try hard.
So you got I have to scroll up a good amount to find not a line of applause. Everybody's glad to have you, man. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Robert, you're welcome to hang out a second and chat. But
okay,
you guys, I am going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you all for everything you guys do. And I will catch you all later on. I do have a video recorded. It is just a mail opening video, but it is something. And I will try and get in the shop today or tomorrow and record an actual video. So, yeah. Hearts and health, everybody. Thank you for making this an awesome day, and I will catch you all later. It has been fun. All right. Goodbye, everybody. And we're clear.